There are 8 spools of braid sitting on that wall in front of you, and most of them are spun from the same plastic. Not similar plastic, the same class of fiber out of a handful of chemical plants on this planet. One of those spools works out to about 4 cents a yard. Another one, at the same 30-pound rating, works out to just under 22 cents a yard. That is a 5 times spread on a shelf where the raw material barely moves. And there is one name in this list that has been braiding its own line inside the same American building since 1938. Keep that one in the back of your mind, because when I get to it, it changes how you read every price tag on that wall. By the end of this video, you will know which companies actually own the fiber underneath almost every spool sold in America. You will know which brands run real braiding machines, and which ones buy finished line and print a label on it. You will know the one number on the package that actually predicts how that line fishes. And you will know why the pound rating on the front is the single biggest decoy in the tackle aisle. Before I open the ownership records, look at your own spool. Braid is the thing you buy again and again. 5 reels a season, 300 yards at a time. At 22 cents a yard instead of 9, that same season costs you double for the same polymer. That blind spot is what this entire industry runs on, and it is why I built the bilge files. $47 one-time, instant download. No sponsors, no dealer deals, no affiliate links, which is exactly why I can name names. Hullhonest.com, link below. Back to the wall. Part 1. The wall. Stand in the line aisle and count the choices. 8 brands. 4 carriers, 8 carriers, 9 carriers. Green, yellow, moss, high-vis. Slick coatings, fused coatings, treated coatings. 30 different pound ratings across 3 different price tiers. It feels like a market. It feels like 8 companies competing to build you a better line. That feeling of choice is the product. That feeling is the trick. Because underneath the color and the coating and the marketing word salad, almost every one of those spools is gel-spun ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene. Say that once and never again. Everybody just calls it UHMWPE. It is one family of plastic, spun into fiber by a very short list of companies. Which brings us to who those companies actually are. And one of them changed hands last year without a single angler noticing. Part 2. The ownership map. Dyneema is spelled D-Y-N-E-E-M-A and pronounced Dyneema. It was invented and commercialized by DSM in the Netherlands. On April 20th, 2022, a company called Avient, pronounced Avient, announced it was buying DSM's protective materials business, Dyneema included. The purchase price in Avient's own 8K filing was $1.485 billion, subject to customary adjustments. The deal closed on September 1st, 2022. Avient put Dyneema's annual sales at around $415 million. Spectra is the other name you see on a spool. Spectra came out of Allied Signal, which became Honeywell. And here is the part almost nobody in fishing has caught up to. Honeywell announced on October 8th, 2024, that it was spinning off its advanced materials business. That spin-off completed on October 30th, 2025, as a separate public company called Solstice Advanced Materials, which means that if your spool says Spectra and credits Honeywell, that credit is out of date. The fiber is spun at Colonial Heights, Virginia, and in January of 2026, Solstice announced it was putting more than $220 million into expanding that plant. So 2 companies, 2 fibers. That is the clean version of this story, and it is the version the title of this video promises you. I am going to be straight with you, because the sharp guys in the comments always are. It is not exactly 2. Toyobo, pronounced Toy-Obo, in Japan, started joint research with DSM back in 1984, formed a joint venture in 1991, and sold gel-spun fiber under the Dyneema name inside Japan until 2016, when they rebranded it Izanas, pronounced Ezanas. They separated from DSM in 2020, and they spin that fiber independently today. So it is 3 real Western and Japanese sources, not 2. And underneath those 3 there is an entire tier of Chinese UHM WPE producers spinning the same polymer. That correction actually makes the story worse for the brands, not better. Because it means the fiber is even more of a commodity than the 2 name version suggests. which raises the only question that matters. If the fiber is a commodity, who is actually building the line? Part 3. The factory receipts. This is the falsifiable part. You can check every one of these yourself. PowerPro is made by Innovative Textiles in Grand Junction, Colorado. Founded in 1992 and now a division of Shimano, pronounced Shimano. In 2006, they signed a long-term Spectra supply contract with Honeywell that trade press reported at around $45 million. Their own copy says it plainly. Braided from 100% Spectra fiber, a registered trademark of Honeywell International. PowerPro runs machines. That is a real braider. Sufix, pronounced Sufix, is owned by Rapala VMC, pronounced Rupala. The name 832 is not a model number, it is a spec. 8 fibers at 32 weaves per inch. 7 of those fibers are Dyneema class HMPE. The 8th is a Gore performance fiber from the people who make Gore-Tex. That is a real construction decision, and I will give them credit for putting it in the product name. Daiwa, pronounced Daiwa, publishes maybe the most honest origin statement in the category. J-Braid X8. Material made in Japan. Colored and woven in Japan. Inspected and packed in Japan. And they say the fiber straight out. Ultra Dyneema. Now the private equity entry. SpiderWire, Berkley, and Stren are all Pure Fishing brands. Pure Fishing was sold by Newell Brands to Sycamore Partners, pronounced Sycamore, for $1.3 billion. Signed November 7th, 2018, completed at the turn of the year. That one transaction moved Abu Garcia, Berkley, Fenwick, Hardy, Mitchell, Penn, Pfluger, Shakespeare, SpiderWire, Stren, and Ugly Stick under one New York private equity firm. SpiderWire Stealth says 100% Dyneema PE microfibers made in USA. Berkley X9 is a 9-carrier braid made in USA. And Berkley Fireline is not braid at all. It is thermally fused, introduced in 1996, and it belongs in a different category entirely. Seaguar, pronounced Seaguar, belongs to Kureha, pronounced Kureha in Japan. Kureha built the first fluorocarbon fishing line in 1971 and describes itself as the only corporate group making line consistently from raw material to finished product. That vertical integration is real, but it is on the fluorocarbon side. Their braid is a Japanese braid. And then there is the bottom of the wall, KastKing SuperPower, from a company called Eposidon, pronounced Eposidon, formed in 2014. Imported, no fiber brand named anywhere on the spool. And this is where I have to stop myself, because the easy version of this video is the one where I tell you every budget braid on Amazon comes off one machine in one Chinese factory with 6 different labels. Every forum on the internet says it. I went looking for the receipt. I could not find one. Not a named plant, not an import record, not a document tying 2 competing budget labels to the same braider. That claim is angler folklore, and folklore is not evidence. What is documented is the tier itself. Named Chinese producers spin genuine UHMW PE in real volume, so the budget spools are almost certainly not Dyneema or Spectra. Which factory braided them, I cannot tell you, and I am not going to pretend otherwise. Part 4. The objection. Right about now you are thinking, same fiber does not have to mean the same line. And you would be completely right. Rope makers have known that for a century. The polymer is the input, the braid is the product. So let me hand you the strongest version of your own argument and then show you where it breaks. The place it does not break is construction. A 4-carrier and an 8-carrier out of identical fiber genuinely fish differently, and I will defend that all day. The place it breaks is price. Because when you line the 8 up by what you actually pay per yard, the spread does not track construction. It tracks the badge. Seaguar Smackdown. 30-pound, 150 yards, $32.69. That is just under 22 cents a yard. PowerPro Original, 30-pound, 150 yards, $17.99. 12 cents a yard. Both 8-carrier class gel spun UHMWPE from the same short list of plants. That is roughly 1.8 times the price for the same family of fiber. Part 5. Read past the badge. Here is the decoy, and it is a big one. The pound test rating on the front of the package tells you almost nothing. Sport Fishing Magazine ran independent brake tests on an Instron machine, pronounced Instron, at IGFA headquarters. In their 2011 test of 76 lines, of the 18 braids tested, all but one exceeded the 20-pound class, and 4 broke at roughly twice the strength printed on the spool. In their 2014 30-pound test, one line rated 30 pounds broke at 66.8 pounds. Their own reporting found 15-pound SpiderWire averaging 34.4 pounds and 50-pound SpiderWire averaging 62.8. Those tests are from 2011 and 2014. Do not go hunting for those exact spools on the shelf today. I use them because they are the cleanest published proof that the number on the front is not a measurement, it is a category. The IGFA itself allows ordinary line to break as much as 35 to 40% above its stated rating. So if the pound rating is a category and not a number, what do you actually read? Carrier count. That is it. That is the spec. A carrier is one bundle of fiber feeding into the braiding machine. 4 carriers gives you a squarer, rougher, stiffer line. 8 carriers gives you a rounder line that runs quieter through the guides and casts farther. That jump, 4 to 8, is where the real money buys you something you can feel on the first cast. I have a spool of 4 carrier 30-pound on my bench right now with a flat spot worn into one side from a single season through ceramic guides. That is what a square cross-section does when it drags. And here is where the curve flattens. Past 8 carriers, for a bass reel or an inshore reel, the returns go thin fast. 12 and 16 carrier constructions exist, and they earn their keep in big diameter offshore hollow braid, where you are splicing. On a spinning reel with 15 or 20 pound on it, you are buying refinement, not survival. I tear into this industry exactly like this every week, and the list of things the tackle aisle hopes you never turn over does not get shorter. Subscribing keeps you in the investigation. Part 6. The verdict. 3 buckets. Real brands, real current prices, all normalized to 30 pounds so the comparison is honest. Bucket 1. Paying for the badge. Seaguar Smackdown at just under 22 cents a yard. It is a genuinely nice line with a genuinely excellent Japanese finish. It is also nearly double PowerPro on the same fiber class. YGK Upgrade X8 and Daiwa J-Braid X8 land near 14 cents a yard, and Japanese finishing is a real thing you can feel. Just know what you are buying is finishing, not fiber. Bucket 2. Honest value. This is where most of you should live. PowerPro at 12 cents a yard, a real American braider with a named fiber. Sufix 832 at about 12.5 cents with the Gore fiber built in. Berkley X9 at about 12 cents. SpiderWire Stealth in the same neighborhood. These are all made by people who actually run machines, at prices within pennies of each other. Bucket 3. The outlier. KastKing SuperPower at roughly 4 cents a yard. And here is the honest part that costs me the easy joke. At 30 pound, that line is a 4 carrier. It is not a rigged comparison against an 8 carrier, it is a different product. 4 cents a yard for 4 carrier braid on a frog rod or a flipping stick is not a scam. It is a fair trade. What you are not getting is a named fiber source or any published spec. Now tell me in the comments what is actually spooled on your main rod right now and which of those 3 buckets it just landed in. Part 7. The exception. Remember the building from 1938. Western Filament in Grand Junction, Colorado has been making cordage since 1938. Aerospace grade. They pioneered Braided Spectra and Dyneema fishing line, and they say it flatly. All of their braided fishing lines are manufactured within their U.S. facility. The brand you see it under is Tuf-Line. Tuf-Line XP, 30 pound, 150 yards, $13.99. Just over 9 cents a yard. That is the cheapest genuine name brand braid in this entire lineup. From the oldest braider in it, made in America. Tuf-Line is not a saint. In an older published braid comparison, Tuf-Line XP landed near the bottom of the pack on raw breaking strength, below PowerPro and well below Cortland. And it is not as buttery through the guides as the Japanese 8 carriers. It wins on integrity and price per yard. It does not win the field test. That is the honest trade. Part 8. The protocol. 4 steps, and it costs you nothing. First, ignore the pound rating for anything except a rough category. Buy by diameter. Diameter is what determines what fits your spool and how it casts. Second, find the carrier count. 8 for spinning and general casting. 4 is fine and cheaper for heavy cover where stiffness helps you. Third, look for a named fiber. Dyneema, Spectra, Izanas, and know that a spool saying only Dyneema with no grade almost always means the base SK75 class fiber. Nobody in fishing discloses the grade. That silence is information. Fourth, do the division at the shelf. Price divided by yards. 9 to 14 cents a yard buys you a real 8 carrier from a real braider. Above about 18 cents a yard you are paying for finishing and a badge, not for stronger fiber. Part 9. While I am killing things, let me kill the one anglers repeat the most. People love to say Dyneema and Spectra are fundamentally different chemistry. They are not. Both are gel-spun UHMWPE. Same polymer family. Spectra came up through a DSM license lineage in the first place, and Toyobo's Izanas is the same chemistry again. The differences are fiber grade, the solvent used in spinning, and the finish. Arguing Dyneema versus Spectra at the dock is arguing about 2 brands of the same plastic. The next time you stand in front of that wall, you are not going to see 8 brands anymore. You are going to see 3 fiber plants, a handful of braiding machines, and 8 marketing departments standing between you and a number you can work out with division. You never overpaid because you were dumb. You overpaid because an entire industry was built to make sure nobody ever printed carrier count and price per yard on the same side of the box. YouTube thinks you will like this next video, so click it. And if you made it all the way to the end, subscribe, because the receipts do not stop here.